Hello, we're looking at page 59 of your Pre-Calculus Part 1 textbook. This is example 5 about how to factor trinomials when the leading coefficient is not 1. Now, I know that there's lots of ways out there, and the book has a particular way of showing this as well. However, I wanted, instead of showing you the example that I'm going to use the example that they give, but I want to show you a shortcut version that I think you could really benefit from. If we're going to factor this, and the leading coefficient here is, in this case, 8 instead of 1, then here's what you're going to do. Multiply the first and the last term together, and that ends up being, do this right here, just make you a big X. You're looking for 8 times negative 3, which is negative 24. You're looking for two numbers that are going to multiply together to be negative 24 that are going to add up to be the middle number, which is negative 10. Okay, so think of two numbers that would multiply together to be negative 24. Think of it over here. If we have 24, that is 6 and 4. That would be 8 and 3. That would be 12 and 2. So there's different combinations. Well, any of those, now remember, for it to be a negative 24, one of them has got to be negative. So at first glance, a lot of people pick the 6 and 4, but remember, one of those has got to be negative, and therefore that would not add up to be negative 10. However, on this one, if I picked negative 12 and positive 2, then that would end up being a negative 10. So that's the two I'm going to pick, and I put them here and here. Okay? So that's the first thing that you do, is you multiply the first and the last term together, which is negative 24. You're looking for factors, or two numbers that multiply together to be negative 24 that add up to be the middle number in your trinomial, which in this case is negative 10. And that just so happens to be negative 12 and 2. Now that you have that, your first term is 8x squared. So that's really going to be 8x and 8x. You're going to use minus 12 as one of them, and you're going to do plus 2 as the other one, as we begin to break down that factor. Now, when that's just a 1 out front instead of an 8, then it would have been just x minus 12 and x plus 2. But because it's 8x squared, you do 8x and 8x. Now, the last step is, if these are divisible, we've got to simplify these down to simplest terms. For instance, this one, both of these are divisible by 4. So I'm going to divide both of those by 4, and I end up with 2x minus 3. Okay. And on this side, both of these two factors are divisible by 2. That ends up being 4x plus 1. And there I have my factors. This is a much, once you learn this method, this is a much quicker method than what the book and what other teachers have tried to show along the way. And after many years of teaching, I found this to be the easiest way to factor trinomials. Now let's try it again for checkpoint. I'm going to multiply the 6 times negative 7. Again, I just do this as a visual here. That's negative 42. And the middle number is 19. So I'm thinking of two factors of negative 42 that are going to add up to be a positive 19. The first one that comes to mind is 21 and 2. If one of them is negative, let's make the 2 the negative, then 21 minus 2 really does give me the 19. So that means I'm going to pick 21 and negative 2. Now, 6 and 7 would have been an option, but they don't add up to be 19. Again, especially if one of them, one or the other, happens to be negative, because that's the only way you can get a negative answer up there. So the 21 and the negative 2 work. So therefore, I'm going to write 6x plus 21 as one of my factors. And I'm going to write 6x minus 2 as my other factor. Now, when I do this, again, I'm going to simplify. What is the largest number that'll go into 6, that'll go into 21, and that would be 3. So this one is going to break down into 2x plus 7. When I simplify this one, both of these are divisible by 2, which ends up being 3x minus 1. And there I have it. There's my two factors. This is a much, much quicker way than many of the other methods have shown you, and I hope this proves helpful to you along the way.